Joining us now to discuss, criminal defense attorney, former head prosecutor Bob Bianchi. Bob, thank you, of course, for joining both of us on this show. And I just said to Julia, you know, this one's hard for me. This one's hitting me hard. All of the cases we cover are atrocious. Sentencing hearings are necessarily emotional because you're hearing from the victims. But this one, when there are 5 different murders and just people, oh, my wife's at a run. Wait a minute, she should be home. She's not home yet. Walking us through finally the realization that his wife was one of those victims.
I was always telling my prosecutors when I was homicide assistant prosecutor or when I was the county prosecutor that we sit on the front row of human nature and don't just evaluate a case by the facts and superimpose it against the law and just move on to the next case. You have to understand that behind each of these cases is a person, is a dead person, is a person who had a life, a history, a family, and the impact that it has and the rippling effects that it has across the community. And to really lean into the idea of how, honestly, as morbid as this may sound, I do a lot of mindset lecturing, as you know, Judge, that we should be very grateful because in an instantaneous moment, some calamity like this, either criminally or as an EMT, I've seen can end your life. But this kind of case, I've got to be honest with you, after all the years of doing this, when you see the carnage that this 16-year-old or 15-year-old who was playing video games just before and all the lives he destroyed, every now and again you get victims who give an allocution like this man just did, and it hits you like it's the first time you're listening to a murder sentence. It never gets quote-unquote old or antiseptic. It's just brutal to listen to how he articulated the loss in his life. And I would have very little mercy for last point. If I were a judge, this would just be a performative matter to give them a cathartic moment and get ready to put the hammer down on this young man.
Sounds like you're expecting life without parole. This particular hearing is one that I believe is going as long as it's going, the 2 weeks, almost like a mini trial. They are slowly going through almost every witness that it feels like you would have called during a trial, but it's because of his age and because this judge has to make a decision that the Supreme Court requires everyone go through when they are this young and life without parole is hanging there. Do you think that that's the reason we are going through so many witnesses and even fact witnesses are coming in?
Miller versus Alabama in 2012 was a United States Supreme Court decision that actually impacted me in a prosecution I had, which requires that this hearing occurs before a judge makes a determination if it's going to be life without parole pursuant to the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution against cruel and unusual punishment. I will tell you its practical implications because those are words on a paper and a lot of lofty words. I had to have a woman who had to revisit a sentencing after her daughter had been murdered, chopped up while she was alive, put into suitcases, and because the person was under the age of 18, they had to have a Miller hearing pursuant to the Supreme Court ruling. And all I can say is that that had the capacity. It's the law. We follow it. We go through it. But it actually destroys and re-victimizes the family again. But you have to do it.
Oh, wow. But very interesting insight, Bob, on that one. We do have to step aside, so please stand by. And let's bring back in criminal defense attorney and former head prosecutor Bob Bianchi. Bob, it almost sounded like a prosecutor's closing argument. She was bringing in facts of the case, the fact that he meticulously planned this, that he brought all of this terror. He was looking up his news stories as they were happening on his phone. I mean, that was powerful. Even how she ended it with him trying to take a coward's way out and being not successful. She's thankful for that.
She did do a great job. These witnesses are all giving great victim impact testimony, but to your point, the judge has to assess whether or not the nature and circumstances of this particular event warrant giving the life without parole. And what she did right there was talk about the cold premeditated, calculated manner in which he did this and his lack of remorse and responsibility, which are all factors this judge will legally take into consideration. So an excellent weaving of the torment to her family, but also the legal principles involved.
And I just have to ask you quickly, though, what about the fact he was 15? He was 15, Bob. Your brain's not fully developed, et cetera, in the last 10, 15 seconds.
Well, I know a lot of 16, 17-year-olds have TBI and all sorts of things where their brain is impacted as well. I've never really quite understood this ruling. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but it would have no import in a case like this to me as a judge in the least. This is a picture case of putting a guy with life without parole that's under the age of 18.
And the judge did find that, in fact, based on the note that the shooter left at the time that it was deliberate, premeditated, intentional.
Pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. Bob Bianchi, thank you so much for all of your analysis this hour. We do have to step aside.